Hey, why don't you divorce me? Huh?
What?
Well, you see, I've been seeing someone else for a while now, and I'm thinking of divorcing you and marrying her.
Seeing someone else? What do you mean? Can you explain properly?
Remember 6 months ago when I went to the dermatologist? I've been dating one of the nurses there. She's 25, and man, being with someone young is something else. We couldn't have a child for 2 years, but with her, bam, it happened in just 6 months. It's been 3 months already.
My husband needs an organ transplant because of his illness, and I intended to keep helping him through it. Yet, despite my plans, I keep getting hit with one shocking statement after another from him. Lost in thought and confusion as I entertain various ideas, I suddenly realize something crucial. So, you started cheating on me half a year ago, before you even knew about your illness, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. Anyway, a useless 30-something infertile. Time to disappear, get divorced.
Until now, I never got mad at my husband no matter what he did or what happened, thinking it was because of his unstable emotions due to his illness. However, the affair started before his illness was discovered. So, the illness is irrelevant. In other words, I have every right to be angry. Well, that's too bad. So, shall we get a divorce then? But I won't yell at my husband. I've endured for his sake, and I intended to keep helping him in the future. Yet, he's having an affair with a 25-year-old nurse, and it seems she's even pregnant. Just yelling at him wouldn't be enough. I'll make sure he deeply regrets divorcing me. I'm Abigail, a 32-year-old office worker. I may be just an average person when it comes to skills and evaluations, but I do love my job, and I've been doing my best in my own way. Can we call this being dedicated to my work? I married Travis 2 years ago, and we don't have any children yet. I met Travis about 5 years ago at a gathering with mutual acquaintances. He was a friend of a friend at the time, and it was our first meeting.
Abigail, what kind of job do you do? Do you have Sundays off? What do you do on your days off? Do you have any free days?
Travis, are you drunk? You should ease up a bit, or getting home will be tough. Oh, excuse me, I need to step away for a moment. Around halfway through the gathering, Travis, who had been drinking, started getting too close to me. As someone who is focused on work and not interested in romance, I politely brushed him off with a smile, but when he became persistently annoying, I sought refuge in the restroom. Returning would mean dealing with him again. While looking at myself in the restroom mirror, I let out a sigh. However, in the reflection, there was also a part of me that didn't seem entirely uninterested. I've always avoided romance, so being approached so boldly like this is something I haven't experienced much. But no matter what, getting attention from the opposite sex still feels good. When I returned to my seat, Travis started talking to me again.
Abigail, which days do you have off?
I have Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays off, just like the calendar. We exchanged contact information, and even after the gathering, he continued to pursue me, and we ended up dating. At the gathering, I thought he was just drunk and being annoying to everyone, but it turns out he was using the alcohol as a way to talk to me. My first impression of him was terrible, but if it wasn't for his liquid courage, I probably wouldn't have ended up dating him. You never know how things will turn out in life. 3 years after we met, we got married. People were surprised that someone like me, who was so focused on work, got married, and I was surprised too. I never thought I'd get married myself. Dating Travis and seriously considering love and marriage seems to have changed my values. People change depending on their circumstances and environment. I was happy with married life with my husband. However, it's been 2 years since we got married. Now, I'm starting to regret getting married, thinking maybe I was better off single. We still haven't been able to have children. I'm 32 years old, and Travis is 37, so I'm starting to feel anxious about our ages. But it seemed strange to me that we still hadn't been able to have children, so I decided to undergo infertility testing. And now, I have to tell him the result with a heavy heart.
So, did you find out the results of the test today? How was it?
It looks like I'm infertile after all.
I see.
But listen, if we undergo treatment, there's about a 30% chance of success. And with repeated treatments, the chances increase.
Is that so? Then we can have children, right?
Feeling hopeful at my words, Travis brightens up. But now, I have to tell him something that will darken his expression again. I brighten his expression beforehand just to lessen his emotional burden, even if just a little. With a somber expression again, I deliver the sad truth. But you see, infertility treatments usually take around 2 years on average.
That long, huh?
As anticipated, his expression darkens once more. In 2 years, I'll be in my mid-30s and Travis will be almost 40. Of course, I still intend to persevere. But he furrows his brow, looks away, and drops his gaze to the floor with a troubled expression. Where are you going alone?
Mind your own business. What I do on my days off is my business.
Once Travis found out I'm infertile, he noticeably changed. He ignores me or yells when I try to talk to him. When he does initiate conversation, he only says basic things like meal, shower, or going to bed. As his attitude has changed so much, and the cause is clear, it actually feels refreshing. But there's something that bothers me no matter how much Travis ignores me or yells at me, and I make sure to persistently bring it up to him. You seem to be scratching again. Did you go to the hospital?
Shut up. You don't need to say unnecessary things.
As usual, I get yelled at. But I watch Travis scratching his belly with concern. Lately, he's been itching all over his body. If it's an illness, it's best to find out as soon as possible. Since I've experienced it myself, I keep telling Travis to go to the hospital, but he becomes stubborn when I tell him to. So Travis doesn't go to the hospital and just endures the itching unnecessarily. And the itching doesn't go away on its own, it only gets worse over time. You're scratching so much. Wouldn't it be better to go to the hospital?
Yeah, maybe this seems kind of weird.
Unusually, Travis responds properly to my words and agrees to go. It seems like he's reached the limit of his itching. When Travis returned from the dermatologist, he seemed unusually cheerful. Sitting on the living room sofa with a happy expression, he began applying the ointment he got from the hospital to his body. What did they say at the hospital?
Since the cause isn't clear, they said to apply the anti-itch cream for now and see how it goes. Finally, I'll be relieved from this itchiness.
Perhaps because the itching was quite severe, Travis seemed to be applying the ointment excessively to the point where I thought it might be too much. I considered giving him a warning, but since he was unusually cheerful, I decided to leave him be. Thanks to the medication, the itching seemed to have improved slightly, and Travis remained in good spirits. Maybe because the itching had lessened, he found it easier to go out, as he started dining out after work and wouldn't return home until late on weekends when he went out alone. It's a wife's duty to worry if her husband comes home late. However, since we hardly talk when he's home, and I'd only end up taking care of him, I feel more at ease when Travis is out. He's in a good mood anyway, so I thought it was fine for him to stay out for a while longer. However, despite risking Travis's mood, there's something I need to address. Lately, you haven't been going to the dermatologist. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Even if I go, I'll just get more anti-itch cream. I still have some left, so I'll go when it runs out.
But the doctor told you to come to the hospital, didn't he?
God, you're always so naggy. I know my body better than anyone. If I say I'm fine, then I'm fine.
While saying he's fine, Travis scratches his arm vigorously. He went to the dermatologist about 3 times, but then he suddenly stopped going. Although he's applying the anti-itch cream, it only eases the itch. It doesn't make it go away completely. That's why I've been reminding Travis to go to the hospital properly. I might seem like a nuisance at home, but regardless, I worry about him. However, if I try to remind him, he ends up yelling at me as usual. Travis's bizarre logic seems to outweigh the knowledge and expertise of doctors. If Travis's itch could be cured by his bizarre theories, that would be fine, but it seemed far from reality, and his condition worsened. Hey, are you okay? Your eyes look yellow?
Yeah, I'm fine, but I'm not feeling well, so I'm taking another day off work today.
6 months after Travis stopped going to the dermatologist. He couldn't even get out of bed and was scratching his body while lying down. The itching seems to have gotten even stronger, and it looks like he's been scratching his body while sleeping. There are spots of bleeding, and the bed is also stained with blood. It's okay to take a day off work, but please make sure to go to the hospital.
I said I'm fine. It'll heal if I get some rest.
Enough already. Your eyes look strange, and you're covered in blood, and you're still saying that?
Forget about me. Just go to work.
Travis yelled, but his voice wasn't as loud as usual. In this situation, I couldn't possibly indulge his stubbornness. So, I decided to take a day off work myself and forcefully take Travis to the hospital. Refusing to go to the hospital out of stubbornness, I left him lying down for the time being and prepared to head to the hospital. When I returned to the bedroom after about 10 minutes, it seemed like he had been on the phone with his company as he was holding his smartphone in his hand. Hey, are you ready to change? We're going to the hospital.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Perhaps someone from his company had advised him to go to the hospital over the phone. Travis seemed unusually compliant compared to before. Since that worked better for me, I didn't say anything and just took him to the hospital in the car. After undergoing tests at the hospital, Travis was diagnosed with primary biliary cholangitis. It's a condition where the bile ducts inside the liver break down and stop functioning properly. In the early stages, simply taking medication allows for a normal life, but if the disease progresses, the same treatment as for cirrhosis of the liver is required. Of course, Travis ended up receiving treatment for cirrhosis of the liver. If he had been going to the dermatologist regularly, The doctor might have noticed something at some point and referred him to a major hospital. Therefore, it's not unreasonable to say that his delayed diagnosis was his own fault. Travis, upon hearing from the doctor that he had a serious illness, sat there staring at the floor in a daze. Since it seemed like the doctor's words weren't getting through to him anymore, I made sure to listen carefully in his place. And then I was told something even more shocking. If treatment for cirrhosis of the liver doesn't show any improvement, a liver transplant is necessary, and without that surgery, it's a matter of life and death. Travis and I, both feeling overwhelmed by the reality we wanted to avoid, returned home feeling disoriented. It'll be okay, I'm sure. A donor will be found soon.
Stop trying to comfort me. My illness, unlike your infertility, is life-threatening, and finding a donor won't be easy.
Travis replied sharply, his voice now low, exuding considerable intimidation. His eyes had become sharp, too, glaring at me as I tried to offer words of encouragement. Travis was left to wait for a donor while undergoing outpatient treatment. As he said, finding a donor wouldn't be easy. The number of registered donors is small, and it seems that many donors are not found. The only consolation is that the liver he'll be transplanting is still one of the more frequently transplanted ones. In a less than ideal situation, he became reckless.
What's this? This god-awful food.
Didn't the doctor say that the yellowing around your eyes was due to cholesterol? You were told to increase your fiber intake, so it's only natural for meals to be veggie-centric.
Shut up. With my time running short, how can I eat this crap?
Travis swept all the dishes off the table with his arm. When I saw this happen in a drama, I thought, does anyone really do that? But now it's happening right in front of me. I gathered the pieces of the broken plates. Travis, in his desperation, quit his job and has been like this every day at home. The other day, he got angry because the TV wasn't interesting and threw the remote at the screen, breaking the TV. We went to the hospital together, and he was indifferent in front of the doctor.
I see. Oh, okay then.
Like a sulking child being scolded by a teacher, he doesn't listen properly, just nods along while the doctor speaks. So once again, I'll be the one to listen to the doctor's words. Considering Travis's feelings, it's understandable that he's acting out. That's why I try not to complain or scold him. However, even considering that he's ill, there are unforgivable things happening.
Hey, why don't you divorce me? Huh?
What? When I came home from work and was still in the middle of taking off my shoes, Travis smirked and threw the idea of divorce at me. I stopped taking off my shoes, unable to understand his thoughts. Even though the treatment for his illness will continue, does he really want a divorce from me? As I pondered, Travis explained his reasons without hesitation.
The thing is, I've been seeing someone else for a while now, and I want to divorce you and marry her.
What? My head was spinning more and more. He's been seeing someone else all this time? Could that be considered cheating? Unable to grasp the meaning of his words, I slowly made my way to the living room to listen to him properly. So, when you say you've been seeing someone else, what does that mean? Can you explain?
Remember when I went to the dermatologist 6 months ago? I've been seeing one of the nurses there. She's 25, which is pretty amazing, right? Even though we couldn't have a kid for 2 years, I managed to get her pregnant in just 6 months. It's been 3 months already.
Travis, resigned to his short life, explained everything to me. I was too shocked by the successive shocking statements to say anything, and my mind started spinning with various thoughts at high speed. As I contemplated, I began to understand his behavior over the past 6 months. He was in high spirits after visiting the dermatologist, and he started coming home late around the time he started going there. Despite adamantly refusing to go to the hospital when his illness was discovered, he suddenly became compliant and went. I remember he was holding his smartphone at that time. Perhaps when Travis made that call, it wasn't to his company but to his affair partner, wasn't it? Maybe the affair partner was worried about Travis, had been urging him to go to the hospital, and on that day, she called him seeking help, scolding him to go to the hospital. In just a few seconds, various thoughts raced through my mind. After finishing understanding the situation and speculating, I realized something crucial. If you started the affair 6 months ago, that means it was before your illness was discovered, right?
Oh, Youre. Anyway, a useless guy in her 30s with infertility should disappear. Let's divorce.
Travis keeps saying divorce with a grin on his face. Until now, I had never gotten angry no matter what Travis did or what happened to him, thinking it was because of his unstable feelings due to the illness. However, the affair happened before the illness was discovered. Therefore, the illness is irrelevant. In other words, I can get angry, right? Too bad. Then, shall we get divorced? However, I won't yell at Travis. I've put up with him and was planning to continue supporting him. And yet, he's having an affair with a 25-year-old nurse who apparently is even pregnant. Just yelling at him won't cut it. I want him to regret divorcing me thoroughly. The next day, I quickly got the divorce papers and decided to fill them out together with Travis.
It's so smooth to get this divorce. It's a relief.
He's smiling so brightly, you wouldn't think he's sick as he effortlessly fills in the form. Then it's my turn to sign. Well, I'll file this divorce papers myself, so I'll keep them for now.
Oh, I'm just sorry for everything.
Also, this isn't needed anymore, so I'll give it to you. Please keep it for reference for your future treatment.
Huh? What's this document?
I pull the divorce papers towards me and instead hand over a certain document to Travis. This is a document for a living liver transplant.
A living liver transplant.
Even though Travis should have heard the explanation together with me, he reacts as if he's hearing it for the first time. Seems like he didn't listen properly to what the doctor was saying after all. When we think of transplants, it's easy to imagine removing organs from deceased individuals. However, for some organs, it's possible to remove them from living donors and transplant them to patients. The liver, which Travis needs for transplantation, is one such organ. The criteria vary depending on the hospital, but it seems that it's possible if the donor is a relative within the fourth degree or a spouse, among other close relationships. However, in the case of a living liver transplant, if there are potential donors willing to provide the organ, the transplant surgery can proceed without waiting for a match to be found. There's no need to wait until a donor is found. I've been undergoing tests on my body and liver condition to become Travis's donor. The document I placed in front of Travis is related to those tests.
Why did you hide such a treatment option?
I didn't exactly hide it. It's your fault for not paying attention both to what the doctor said and what I said. I was talking to the doctor right in front of you about becoming a donor. You weren't listening properly, so you probably just thought it was about people already on the donor registry, didn't you?
But normally, wouldn't you tell me about it if you were going to get tested to be a donor, would you?
True, I did quietly proceed with the donor testing because I thought you hadn't noticed anything. But that's because if I had failed the donor test, it would have devastated you again. So I planned to tell you when I knew I could report good results. After hearing my explanation, Travis picked up the document in front of him and began to read through it. However, the details written on it were quite complex, so he probably wouldn't be able to understand the content just by skimming through it. Deciding to clarify what the document meant, I said, "According to the test results, it seems I can become your donor without any issues."
Really?
Travis brightened up upon hearing that I could be a donor. But I have to convey something that will quickly darken that expression. After that, we just need to confirm both your and my intentions. But of course, I don't want to donate organs to someone like you.
Huh? Why would it turn out like that after going through the tests? Isn't it just about having the transplant surgery?
I wouldn't help someone who got his mistress pregnant. Upon hearing that I wouldn't be a donor, Travis's expression clouded over. However, knowing that there was someone in front of him who could be his donor, he must have thought he couldn't miss this chance. In the next moment, he appealed to me with an expression mixed with panic and fear.
If you don't become a donor, my life won't last long. You know. Are you really going to abandon a life that can be saved? You heartless person.
It's quite a painful remark for something thought up on the spot. Certainly, abandoning a life that can be saved, no matter who the person is not a pleasant thing to contemplate. However, I'm not the only one who can save Travis's life. Don't say such unkind things like abandoning a life. It doesn't have to be me as the donor, does it?
Youre. Come to think of it, wives can be donors too, right? So that means even a remarried partner can be a donor.
That's right. So ask that 25-year-old nurse for help. But since she's pregnant, surgery won't be possible for a while. And also, without her consent, nothing can be done.
I got it. Well, if that's the case, then I don't need you anymore. I wasted my time getting anxious.
Upon hearing that his mistress could also be a donor, Travis looked at me with a disdainful expression. Realizing he didn't need me anymore, he seemed to have decided he didn't need to keep me in a good mood anymore. His thinking at times like this is quite transparent. After that, Travis and I divorced and I moved out, starting to live on my own. I have some savings left and I have a job, so there's no problem with my life. But it's just like returning to the life I had before marriage. A month after the divorce, while I was focused on my work, Travis, my ex-husband, called me. I wondered if there was something related to the divorce that he needed to discuss.
I beg you, please help me. You're the only one I can rely on now.
The moment I answered the phone, his first words were so loud that I instinctively moved my smartphone away from my ear. He seems quite agitated. What's wrong?
My supposed-to-be remarriage partner ran away from me.
Huh, seriously? I couldn't help but laugh at the unexpected turn of events.
I asked her to marry me and become a donor after giving birth, but she immediately said no. Wouldn't you become a donor for your husband? That's normal.
And then, what did you do after being rejected?
It's a matter of life and death for me. So even after being rejected multiple times, I kept begging her wholeheartedly. But then she disappeared and I couldn't reach her.
I was astonished by Travis's actions and mindset. I understand that it's a matter of life and death for him. However, there are risks for the donor too. Since it involves surgery, it can leave scars on the body, and since it involves organ donation, there's also the risk of decreased body function or even illness. No matter how much the partner is pregnant with a child and about to get married, it's not easy to simply nod along when the burden of that risk falls on a young woman of just 25 who hasn't even been together for a year. Even I, who spent 5 years dating and then married, intending to support my husband, felt a little anxious when it came to becoming a donor. If she's pushed into such a critical decision as if she's being coerced, she's not exactly in an easy spot either. I understand why the affair partner would want to run away. And I can also understand Travis's feelings of wanting to cling to me after being abandoned by the affair partner, but it's a shame, but I can't help you anymore.
Don't say that. Help me out. The test results must have shown that you can be a donor, right?
Listen, we're already divorced, so we're complete strangers now. Didn't I tell you that only relatives can undergo living liver transplants?
But then,
I'm not going to marry you again. I firmly rejected Travis's plea. It's really easy to predict what he'll say in moments like this.
what? What should I do?
Since you don't have any siblings, it's just your parents, right? How old are your parents again?
Well, I think my dad is 67 and my mom is 66.
Too bad. Living liver transplants have an age requirement of 20 years or older, but younger than 65. You'll have to give up and wait for a donor to be found through donor registration.
But what if they don't find one? Does that mean I only have 10 more years to live?
I've been thinking about this for a while, but why do you assume it's only 10 years? Having a life expectancy of 10 years usually applies to people with rapidly progressing illnesses. The progression of illness varies from person to person, and in your case, you might live for another 30 or 40 years, right?
But you never know what might happen.
You divorced because you saw your affair partner as a potential donor and thought that a woman in her 30s who couldn't conceive was useless, right? Since we're complete strangers now, besides divorce-related matters, please don't call me. Travis kept crying and pleading, but since it had nothing to do with me, I decided to hang up. Well, good luck. I looked at the screen of my hung-up phone and silently cheered for Travis as an acquaintance in my heart. Travis seems to be alone, going through treatment while waiting for a donor, after divorcing me and being abandoned by his affair partner. Although he quit his job, he had savings from 15 years of work, so for now, he's managing by dipping into his savings. However, both treatment and living expenses are draining his funds. He also has to pay me alimony for the affair and child support for the child his affair partner is going to have. As a result, his savings will likely disappear in no time. Travis knows he needs to find a job before he runs out of money, but it's tough to find work while dealing with an illness, so he's struggling to secure employment. Since he chose to let go of someone who was there to support him, I believe he should figure things out on his own. I've returned to focusing solely on my job. While Travis may be going through a rough patch after our divorce, I've come to realize that being single suits me. By focusing on work, It seems my perspective has changed once again. Until the time comes for that policy to change again, I'll keep working hard for a while,